It's been nearly 5 years since I built this workshop. Where has the time gone? And 4 years since I'd done my last workshop tour. And in that time, virtually everything has changed in here. So let's get the drawbridge up and have a look. Alright folks, my name's Leo and welcome to Single-Handedly Made and my workshop tour of 2026. Now if you have just parachuted into the channel because you like to have a little nosy at other people's workshops, everything you see in here is catered or adapted for single-handed use. And I'm going to jump straight in to the 3 shelves behind me. Now I'd like you to be mindful of any tool or machinery that I invest in here needs to meet my 3 criteria. The first being the weight of the tool. If it's too heavy, then I run the risk of burning out my good arm because obviously I can't switch between arms when using it. The second is what I call the profile of the tool. I like it to be as low as possible to the piece that I'm working on, because if it's too high, I'll be having to make those micro adjustments all the time, which again burns out my forearm and my shoulder as well. And the final one is the lack of vibration. Now I don't need to explain that one to you because anyone who's used a power tool that vibrates up their arm knows it can be very uncomfortable after a period of time and can have an effect on your muscles as well. Now let's get into the 3 shelves behind me, and the shelves themselves have actually come back from the red brick market, which was my cellar space here in Liverpool. Unfortunately, I've had to give that space up because I just couldn't dedicate the time that is needed since my online sales are doing very well. Firstly, in the corner here, can I describe them sometimes as the Holy Trinity, which is my Mirka Sanders, the Dios, the Deros and the RS600. Again, meeting them criteria of relatively lightweight but do have a low profile. The RS600 you're going to see a little bit more about on that channel because I've been using it now for over a year. I've got my trend gear here. I've got the 2 routers, one with the cordless, and I use the drill driver and the impact driver quite a lot. Again, meet my criteria. Go up onto the second shelf. I've got my Festool gear and my Hupar gear. My Festool stuff, I've got 2 track saws, one being the cordless one, the jigsaw, the 8mm router, and on the end here I've got 2 of my Hupar lasers. The Festool gear, when I started out, I was using a lot of tools from Aldi and Lidl, like most folk will be doing when they're getting into DIY or woodworking, and I have kind of realised what tools I use on a regular basis and have upgraded them, which is probably the best way to go about it, because you might buy a tool and realise that you never use it, but if you've only bought it on a budget via Middle Lidl, then it's not a lot of money lost. But these ones up here are obviously a huge investment. And finally, on the top shelf, I've got my Mirka abrasives. My go-to one is Abranet Ace. I've used that for a long time now. I like it. It's a bit thicker than Abranet, which is less likely to tear, but it also holds its sanding grit for longer periods of time compared to other abrasives that I've used in the past. And I've also got my Mirka Edge Guide here, which is featured quite a bit on my shorts content and reels. Really good on, like, for example, my chopping boards for getting those right angles really accurate. Now let's move over this way and have a quick look at the laser. Now here in the far corner of the workshop is my X-Tool S1 20 watt laser. Now this is ideal for a small business like mine because it allows me to do that personal touch on my bespoke products. The 20 watt I think hits the sweet spot in the range because it allows you to do very fine engraving, but also if you want to cut some thicker material you can do. There's the 5 watt and the 40 watt available, but I just think the 20 watt is the one to go for. I'd just like to quickly talk as well that I have a purifier that comes with this that vents out one of the workshop windows. I think there's a lot of folk who've got into laser engraving now, but they don't think about ventilation. Kick out some nasty fumes this, and if it's going and you feel that kind of scratchy feeling at the back of your throat, then imagine what it's doing to your lungs. So I'd certainly recommend either getting some form of purifier or making sure your laser is well ventilated going outside. Right, let's jump onto this little bit of the workshop here. Tucked away in this little nook within the workshop is my record power triple motor cam vac, a significant upgrade on my previous dust extraction. It can cope with any of the machinery I have in here, including the bandsaw and the planer thicknesser. I really like the triple motor feature because I only really use 2 motors, and that third motor is there for a little turbo boost if required. Also, if I'm running the cam vac for a period of time, I can switch between the motors, so 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, etc. I recently fitted it with some HEPA style filter upgrades that's improved the power even further. I definitely recommend the cam vac, even if you don't go for the large 200 litre drum. Comes with a 5-year guarantee, and I'm confident it can cope with anything that you could throw at it in your workshop. Behind the cam vac is my bandsaw, the Laguna 18BX. Fair to say, a beast of a machine, very powerful. But one of the features I really like as a one-handed woodworker is the large cast iron bed, because it gives me more confidence when using the bandsaw. I've got a couple of videos of this on my channel. I'll leave links in the description, including all the things I like about it, but a couple of dislikes as well. It wasn't my original intention to buy the 18BX. I was looking for the 14BX, but the company I was dealing with had one of these on offer, so I decided to take the plunge. It's fitted on casters like virtually everything in here, which makes it easier if I want to change the layout or if I need to create some space for larger objects coming through the drawbridge. Talking of larger objects, let's have a look at this. And here it is, 500 kilos of goodness. My all new Felder AD531 planer thicknesser. A huge investment for my small business, but in my humble opinion, totally worth it. My previous planer thicknesser, the Axminster Trade AD260, was a good machine. It was just the fact that I kind of outgrown it really. So I was looking for something with a 310mm bed. I did a lot of research and decided on this one here. Now, I'm not going to say too much about it because I think it deserves its own dedicated video at some point in the future on my channel, but it is a pleasure to use. There are so many good features that make it so easy for myself, and yeah, I absolutely love it. Little things, the little differences sometimes, the wheel system on this for moving it, considering how much it weighs, makes it so easy. On the wheel system on my previous planer thicknesser, it went in any direction apart from the one I wanted it to. The fence is so smooth to move and bang on accurate, along with the digital readout meter for raising and lowering the bed for thicknessing. I better stop there because I could go on for about half an hour. So let's move on to just behind me before we go on to this side of the workshop. And over here, when the drawbridge is not in use, is my Trend WRT router table with the Trend T14 router permanently attached to it. It's been in here a few years now. I've got a video on my channel about how to assemble it, and as you can see, it's a little bit bumped and bruised, but that's because it gets continuous use, particularly now with my chopping boards and my serving boards for putting either a round over or a chamfer on them. The T14 is extremely powerful. I only really ever have it on setting 2 or 3, and that can easily cope with the kind of work I do. Right, over to this part. Talking of being with me for a little while, this was one of my first premium tool purchases, the Festool Capex KS60 miter saw with the UG underframe, and as you can see here, this neat little add-on from Paul at JCR Builds. I also built some storage units to go under the UG frames, a couple of videos on that on my channel. Yeah, real workhorse, even helped me to build this workshop. It's just about on its limits now for a capacity that I need. I believe there's a KS88 out there, which is like rarer than unicorn poop, if you're with me, but would I upscale it to one of them? Possibly. I think the KS120 is too big for what I need, but yeah, it's been a great piece of kit and hopefully will be for more years to come. On to the subject of dust extraction, and I've almost as many dust extractors in here as 10 Minute Workshop has track saws. Maybe not that many. Okay, I've got my record power cam vac that I spoke about before, and in addition to that I have got 3 shop vacs. Okay, one of them that's permanently hooked up to my miter saw, and that's an older Merkur model. And then in some storage space under there, I've got my Merkur Dexos, and that is used for most of my power tools, track saw, sander, etc. And then at the back of there, I've got a Festool MIDI, which is hooked up to the Cyclone system for another machine that's permanently set up over here. All will be explained when I get a little bit further around in the tour. No matter how big or small your workshop is, whether you work from a small shed or an industrial unit, you will all know about the importance of tool storage. Now, this was one of the original projects I did in here, and the tools you can see up there are more or less the same from when I built this 5 years ago. The Trend inflatable wedges always come in handy. These carbide scrapers get used all the time, and I've got a smaller one in my apron that's got that triangular front on it. Up at the top there, I've got my Ferrex nail gun that gets used quite a lot, my squares, some clamps, and just bits and pieces that get used quite frequently, and occasionally I put them back in the right place. Bit of a change since my last workshop tour, which is my workbench now butted up against this corner. It does make things more efficient compared to where it used to be over here in the middle, because occasionally it was getting in the way. I've got a custom sized Bench Dogs MFT top. Please excuse the maple, cherry, oak and walnuts. Doing a lot of prep work for boards at the moment. Anyway, I digress. Loads of storage underneath for my sustainers. I do have the fence system and the rail hinge from Bench Dogs as well. Now, am I guilty of using the word game changer too often? Well, yes, I am. But an MFT top for a one-handed woodworker is a game changer, whether it's clamping things down, butting something up against some Bench Dogs, or using the fence system at the back. It really changed the way I work and also made my working practices much more efficient. Have I saved the best till last? Well, let's have a look over here. When I described the MFT top as a game changer, then welcome to the World Cup winner. Okay, this is my Trend Onefinity Journeyman CNC machine. Now, in the original video I did on my channel, which was the installation and first thoughts, I did describe it as a small business game changer, and I stand by that 100%. What do I actually mean by that? Well, in effect, it's like having an employee in here, an extra pair of hands which can carry on with some of the processes while I am getting on with some other jobs. Dead easy for me to change things over, and I can get back to work while this is getting to work for me. I'm certainly getting to grips with the Vectric VCarve Pro software and this Masso controller you might be able to see behind me there, and I feel like I'm more tuned in with the CNC, if that makes sense. For example, some of the projects I'm doing on here, there's very little waste. We're talking a couple of millimeters, which means I'm saving money on, as you know, rather expensive timber. I'll have a lot more content coming up on my channel about this, because as I said in previous content, I am talking about this machine from a complete novice, a complete beginner's perspective, which that's what I am, but I'm definitely getting better as I go along. Logistically, there is loads of space underneath here, and when I showed some pictures of it being installed on my social media, I frequently heard the term, "You're going to need a bigger boat." But believe it or not, even though I've got more equipment in here now, the efficient use of the space actually feels like I've got more room. How that is, I just don't know. Maybe I should have done that 5 years ago. And I just want to jump in with this because I only heard from Trend yesterday. Today is Friday the 24th of July 2026, and Trend are currently offering a discount on the whole range of the Onefinity CNC with up to £600 off. Really good deal. And you can also use my discount code LEO1F to get over £100 worth of cutters free to go along with your discount for the CNC machine. I'll leave links in the description to all of that and my discount code as well, which you just use at the checkout so you don't have to write things down. It's a great offer and will only be on for a limited period of time. So if you've been sat on the fence about whether to buy one of these or not, now is as good a time as any. Right folks, and I'm going to leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed my workshop tour of 2026. As I said at the beginning, there has been significant changes in here, but it's set up really well now for my small business. If you do have any specific questions about the tools or the machinery that I've shown today, then please leave me a comment. I hope you're going to give that thumbs up and even consider subscribing to the channel. As ever, everyone, take care, look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.